गुड इवनिंग लेडीज एंड जेंटलमैन व्यूअर्स। ये मेरी 52nd कड़ी है इस विन लाइफ लाइक ए वॉरियर की पॉडकास्ट की। और आज जो मेरे साथ वॉरियर हैं वो एक ऐसे एक्सेप्शनल वॉरियर हैं जिनको के बारे में जब मैं आपको बताऊंगा तो आप खुद ही समझ जाएंगे। इन्होंने सबसे पहले इंडियन एयरफोर्स में पायलट एज ए पायलट ज्वाइन किया थ्रू एनडीए, और उसके बाद में इन्होंने 1971 के वॉर में 21 ऑपरेशनल मिशन फ्लाइट्स को इन्होंने उड़ाया। आप समझ सकते हो कि वार जोन में एक पायलट की कितनी बड़ी दक्षता होनी चाहिए। देयरआफ्टर ही कंटिन्यूड एंड आउट ऑफ 33 इयर्स ऑफ करियर ऑफ फ्लाइंग, उसमें से इन्होंने 24 साल एयरक्राफ्ट और सिस्टम्स की टेस्टिंग की है। कितनी बड़ी जिम्मेवारी है कि एक एयरक्राफ्ट और सिस्टम्स को कंफर्म करना कि ये ओके है फ्लाइंग के लिए, बहुत बड़ी जिम्मेवारी है। उससे पहले इन्होंने वॉर में तो लिया ही है वॉर। देयर आफ्टर ही गेट सेलेक्टेड फॉर इंडो सोवियत मिशन, स्पेस मिशन, जिसमें कि इनको सेलेक्ट किया गया आउट ऑफ 150 पायलट्स ऑफ इंडियन एयरफोर्स। वो भी एक बहुत बड़ी अचीवमेंट है। एंड नॉट ओनली दैट, उसके बाद 8 दिन ये स्पेस में रहे, और उसके बाद भी ये वापस आने के बाद इंडियन एयरफोर्स से निकलने के बाद भी इन्होंने हिंदुस्तान एरोनॉटिक्स लिमिटेड में एज ए हेड टेस्ट पायलट का भी काम किया, जो अगेन एक जिम्मेवारी है कि हिंदुस्तान की जो एलीट एयरफोर्स है उसके लिए एक अच्छे से अच्छे एयरक्राफ्ट टेस्ट करके दें। तो ये सब एक छोटा सा, मैंने बहुत ही छोटा सा डिस्क्रिप्शन दिया है, बाकी हम जब बात करेंगे तो सब पता लगेगा। सो सर, मेरे जो आज के गेस्ट हैं विंग कमांडर राकेश शर्मा, जो रिटायर्ड हैं और अशोक चक्र से नवाजे गए हैं इंडियन गवर्नमेंट के द्वारा। और उसके साथ साथ एक और चीज है, इनको यूएसएसआर की गवर्नमेंट ने भी उस टाइम इनको लॉयन ऑफ यूएसएसआर का भी एक अवार्ड दिया। So thank you so much, sir. Welcome to the show, sir. Win Life Like a Warrior, sir. And I am really privileged to have you, sir, on this channel, Win Life Like a Warrior.
Thank you very much, Tyagveer. I'm happy to be here and to share some of my experiences with your viewership. So let me greet your viewers. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, depending on whichever time zone you are in. Namaskar, Vanakkam, and ours is a vast country, so greetings to you all. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you, sir. In fact, let me tell you, when I put this message on my social media, many messages I got, and they were all so excited to see you and talking to this. In fact, some of the parents said that my child want to know that what is the space flight and all these things. And very, very, very lucky, sir. So first thing, sir, I know that, sir, as a child, you were very fascinated by the outer space. And when you were a student, you, in fact, something you were, as a student, you were again inspired by that first flight, Yuri Gagarin, who took to the space. And he was the first man to go to the space. So, sir, how was your that school days or that initial days or your studies and all?
आपको मैं अगर बताऊं कि स्पेस मेरे जहन में था नहीं, प्राइमरली बिकॉज जब मैं स्कूल में था वो तो उस समय तक Gagarin hadn't yet gone into space. So बचपन से I was very fond of jet aircraft because मेरी परवरिश हैदराबाद में हुई है. And while I was there, Hakimpet is the fighter training wing, and the vampires used to fly around in those days. And it was a very different kind of an aeroplane in the sense that it was not, it didn't have a propeller, it had a jet engine. So it used to make a whistling sound. So that itself was fascinating, and I was captivated by that. तो कभी सोचा भी नहीं था कि स्पेस भी कोई चीज होती है जब तक यूरी गागारिन नहीं गए।
Okay.
और मैं क्या, हमारा पूरा जनरेशन, चाहे
Correct.
बड़े हो चाहे स्टूडेंट्स हो, all of them were very very excited about this new frontier which was opening up, that is space. And उसके बाद तो कई और फ्लाइट्स हुई हैं, रशियंस की भी अमेरिकन्स की भी, उनके आपस में कंपटीशन हो गया था। और फाइनली सो everybody used to read everything that was available in the media, और काफी कुछ था मीडिया में, आधा
Yes.
अखबार स्पेस
Yes.
फ्लाइट से ही भरा हुआ था। आज उन्होंने क्या खाया क्या पिया है, फलाना फलाना। so it was interesting at that time। मगर क्योंकि हमारे देश में ऐसी कोई एक्टिविटी थी नहीं, हाँ एयरफोर्स था, तो मैं उसी के पीछे लगा रहा कि उम्मीद कर रहा था कि मैं पायलट बन जाऊं इंडियन एयरफोर्स
Oh.
के लिए। और तब तक ना तो हमने अपना लॉन्चिंग शुरू की, सारा भाई साहब तो वो भी बाद में, हालांकि छोटे छोटे हमने कदम लिए, तो वो खास आया नहीं करते थे, क्योंकि compared to going to the moon, these were very baby steps.
Yes.
So I just kept concentrating on my Air Force career।
Okay.
और बस उसके बाद आपने तो बता ही दिया है
Yes.
कि 71 वॉर हुआ, फिर I
So,
qualified
sir,
as a test pilot।
sir, then how did then NDA happen? Because I know that now I can make out that you were keen to join as a fighter pilot. So do you have some memories of that? How did actually the NDA? Because there might be other options also, but you went for the NDA only, and that to a pilot. So this thought of was from the beginning, or when you were in the final semester when they asked you the options, and that is the time you went for it?
No. Right from the beginning, I have always wanted to join the Air Force. So when I gave my NDA exam, very fortunately, my All India number was such that usually if your numbers is good in the order of merit, you get your first preference,
Yes.
Air
Yes.
Force, Army or Navy।
Yes.
तो जब भी मैंने फॉर्म भरा था तो उन्होंने बोला था आपका प्रेफरेंस क्या है, 1 2 3 लिखिए। तो मैंने 1 2 3 तीनों एयरफोर्स लिखा था।
Oh.
so of course that was a wrong thing to do। अगर मेरी नंबर सही नहीं आते तो अगर एयरफोर्स नहीं मिलता तो कुछ भी नहीं मिलता, गैम्बल सा था, but it worked, so I was very lucky and that's how I got into India। और कोई तरीका ही नहीं था एयरफोर्स ज्वाइन करने का उन दिनों में।
Absolutely. Any sir, any memory of NDA which you would like to share? One memory, something of your such a old institution.
भाई अब एनडीए मेरे को तो रोज सुबह याद आता है व्हेन आई शेव, बिकॉज उन दिनों में भी हेयर कट कुछ ऐसे ही मिलता था। so but NDA was of course a beautiful experience। all the boys became men during those 3 years and हमने काफी कुछ सीखा कि what is honor, what is camaraderie, you know, so ये सब चीजें, physical fitness, how to accommodate difficulties। In fact, I think the best lesson was how to pace yourself।
Yes.
You know, ऐसे ना होए कि by the time it comes to a point where you're supposed to deliver, तब तक आप इतने थक गए हो, इतना बर्न आउट हो गए हो that you're unable to perform। तो जब भी जरूरत नहीं थी, आराम करना भी सीखा while on parade।
Yes. Everybody learns that, sir.
Yeah.
So, sir, that's truly correct, sir. After NDA, certainly your first option, you got it as a pilot, and you joined the Indian Air Force, which is the elite force of armed forces of India. Sir, that was the time, I think 1970 you joined, and 1971 was the war with the Indo-Pak War. And which I know that you've flown around 21 operation missions. Sir. And the kind of accuracy, the kind of uh, concentration, focus is needed for a Air Force pilot, or especially during the war zone. You may like to share something out of these 21 missions. Some of the missions must have been very memorable for you.
To be very frank, क्योंकि I was extremely junior. I had only about 50 hours of experience on Hunter aircraft, which was the first aircraft we were trained on. After Vampire, we flew the Hunter, and immediately after that, I was selected for MiG-21s when we were. So it was an experiment being tried by the Air Force. उन्होंने कहा कि ये नया जहाज है तो we will need youngsters क्योंकि उस समय only the very senior people were flying it और senior लोग और senior होते जाते हैं समय के साथ. So they knew that they would have to leave the cockpit, and we didn't have enough MiG trained pilots. तो हमें at a very young age chance मिल गया, so I got selected for MiG-21 और उसमें भी 50 घंटे मैंने फ्लाई किए. When I came to the squadron, आदमपुर में था, and Pakistan decided to attack us, so बस जल्दी हो गया. However, because I was not experienced, so I was not given missions going deep into Pakistan along with our bomber aeroplanes to protect them. So we were doing a lot of air defense. That means हमारी airfield to make sure that it does not get attacked.
Correct.
So those were the kind of, so 3-4 बारी गया था मैं across the border, but at that time Pakistan, I think, fought a sensible war because they didn't know कितनी देर तक ये चलेगी war. So they never wanted to get involved and lose their aeroplanes. So from that angle, we had got a favorable air situation pretty early during the war.
Yeah, and once you get the favorable air situation, then the life is a little bit more comfortable.
Yeah.
Because then opponent may not try the wrong things, and you don't have to then struggle much. Perfect, sir. Perfect. So, sir, during this your tenure, at what service bracket you got this chance to apply for this Indo-Soviet mission of going to the space? And how was that experience of getting through this out of 150 pilots? And I believe 2 got selected, you and I think Wing Commander Rakesh Sharma.
That's right. वो ऐसा हुआ कि समय कम था. So the Russians said कि, और उस समय भी elections होने वाले थे, तो उन्होंने कहा अगर election से पहले आप चाहते हो कि this flight is done, then you please give us test pilots, because test pilots जो हैं उनके लिए थोड़ा बहुत आसान होगा क्योंकि space is really technology wise an extension of aviation. And because we were all supersonic pilots and test pilots, तो 150 तो में से selection तो हुई थी, पर वो तो ACRs के तहत हुई थी.
Correct.
शॉर्टलिस्ट जो बना था वो केवल टेस्ट पायलट्स का और a few fighter pilots का, squadron pilots का बना था. So once that shortlist was made, the rest of it was medical tests, psychological tests, and I was young and I was fit.
Yes.
So I had an advantage and I was lucky, obviously. So,
sir, one thing here, it comes in the mind that Air Force का तो वैसे ही sir, pilots का medical is so tough. It is much tougher than the normal army men or even Navy is equally tough, I believe. So what was that different thing which was needed for this, especially at the Indian Air Force level? Because you said 150 was basic from the ACR. Thereafter, some were shortlisted to undergo the medical test and the psychological. So what was that specific things which you must have gone through to differentiate? Because the pilot's supposed to be as such fit, category 1.
Yeah, but the point is that for space, there were some tests जिसका equipment नहीं था हमारे पास.
Okay.
And there were also some tests which were specified by the Russians, which are not usually done on fighter pilots also.
Okay.
So from amongst us, there were a few fighter pilots who lost their fighter flying license because of the tests which otherwise they were never supposed to go through. But for space, when they went through and the doctors found something which was not correct, and then they said, well, now we cannot, now that we know that there is a problem, we cannot send you back to flying, which was very unfortunate and very, very unfortunate and unfair, I would think, frankly. Yes. So, ye bhi hua. So I suppose to answer your question, ye wahi hua ki, I think if it was your medical and probably your psychological profiling.
Okay.
I think these were the situations which were taken into account.
So in the medical, anything specific, sir, which was not done otherwise, and which is done specifically for the only space?
Well, yeah, I mean, there were a few. There were a lot of tests.
I know.
गर्म पानी में डालो, एक हाथ ठंडे ice water में डालो, and then see what happens to the body. Then 3 दिनों के लिए for 72 hours, they put you in a room, closed room with nobody else around, no artificial light coming in, no sunlight, nothing, no radio, no, of course, तभी TV तो खास था ही नहीं, no books, no clock. So you don't know. Yeah, so you were just with your thoughts, basically to find out if you are claustrophobic.
Yeah, latent claustrophobia.
Yeah. So that is why the psychological resilience, I suppose, is what they were saying, because उसी माहौल में तो काम करना था. That means so far away from Earth and in a steel cylinder where you can't go out. So it was, in that sense, I suppose the submariners would probably have a tougher job, because they're much longer. Of course, even in space now, the world record is 400 plus days.
Yes.
And for missions to Mars and all, then wahi hoga. It will quite be for 1.5 years. You'll be cooped up in that cylinder. So, ye baat.
बिल्कुल सही. In fact, I have read somewhere that latent claustrophobia, that is what they check it by keeping you in 72 hours in the room where nothing is there.
Yeah, that's what. But I really enjoyed that period because I was very tired before that. I was doing a lot of work and a lot of evaluations, so I took it as a vacation.
So good. That means that is why, sir, you went to space. Because
probably because what we had learned in NDA, जब chance मिले तो relax करना सीखो.
बिल्कुल. सर, उसके बाद में you got selected and then you went for a training to USSR for 2 years. 3 साल एनडीए में बहुत टफ ट्रेनिंग होती है, उसके बाद 1 साल आपका पायलट का भी ट्रेनिंग होता है, and then another 2 years. Now you may like to tell my audience, sir, they must be eagerly waiting for that. वो 2 साल में सर कराते क्या है? What is that different they make you do so that you are ready for going to space? Sir? Something in the brief.
ये ज्वाइन किया था समझ के पढ़ाई नहीं करनी पड़ेगी.
सर एक चीज चेक करना, आपकी वॉइस थोड़ा सा अभी डाउन हो गया, पहले से जो है ना, पहले अच्छा आ रहा था, थोड़ा सा वॉइस।
अभी क्या आवाज अभी ठीक है कि नहीं?
हाँ नहीं,
So then you want me to change the...
हाँ एक बार लगा के फिर से ठीक करो सर।
Okay, let's try that.
बीच में गड़बड़ हो गया था।
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's perfect sir now. Now it's okay sir. Now it's okay. So we were talking about sir your training part in the USSR.
आवाज अभी ठीक आ रही है?
बिल्कुल सही है सर, बिल्कुल सही।
I can't hear you.
अच्छा, you can't hear me sir? Okay, okay.
I can't hear you.
Okay, okay. So you have to change then sir. You have to change again sir. For me it is okay sir.
एक मिनट। Okay, can you hear me now?
I can hear sir. Can you hear me sir?
Yep, I can hear you now.
Ah, perfect sir. Now I can also hear you well sir.
हाँ, तो क्या बात कर रहे थे हम?
Sir, we were just talking कि इतनी सारी ट्रेनिंग एनडीए की होती है, 2 साल की, 3 साल की, फिर 1 साल पायलट, देन यू गो बैक टू 2 years. So what is that difference sir? You may
वो खास तो जैसे मैं बता रहा था कि एनडीए तो ज्वाइन की थी कि चलो पढ़ाई नहीं करनी पड़ेगी, वहाँ सिर्फ one had to pass exams in 18 subjects, वो बात अलग है। वो वहां से निकले तो फिर उसके बाद टेस्ट पायलट्स में that is equivalent of a master's course in aeronautical science, वहां से निकले तो फिर मॉस्को पहुंच के एक तो रशियन लैंग्वेज सीखनी पड़ी, and one had to unlearn dynamics of aeroplanes, the way they fly, because aeroplanes fly in the atmosphere and space flight happens in a vacuum. Yes. So different physical laws are operating.
Oh, correct.
तो वो सीखना पड़ा. So मतलब सीखते रह गए till about 37 years. So उसके बाद भी, as you know, फौज में you have to continue learning, which is a nice thing actually.
Yes,
because you're challenged all the time.
Yes, yes. So बहुत important चीज सर आपने बताई कि yes, you unlearned all the physical laws of aircraft which flies in the atmosphere with the air is the one of the function. Yeah. But there is no atmosphere, and so there has to be different laws. Of course, there has to be lot of different physics and different principles.
Yep. Yep.
In fact, I was also wondering कि क्या ऐसा स्पेशल है जिसमें 2 साल लगते हैं सीखने में.
हाँ, और वो सारा मतलब सब्जेक्ट पढ़ाया जाता है रशियन में. हाँ, इम्तिहान भी रशियन में. हाँ,
I know because they don't know English, so you have to understand their language. Yeah. And that must be the most difficult part, sir, learning the different language.
It was because
how long you took, sir, to learn that, especially the language part?
3 months, about 2.5 months, 3 months.
I think that is also creditable, sir. Learning a language in 3 months.
Yeah, but they've just made sure that we have begun to understand Russian. Yeah. बोलने में दिक्कत थी, but that's it. Once they knew we can understand, तो training चालू हो गई थी.
I know. Sir, after this training, you were ready to go to the space, and I believe you flew about this Soyuz T-11 from the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan on 3rd April 1984. Sir, were you nervous, in fact, before the flight?
You see, the thing is that by that time, of course, I was an experienced test pilot. और ये जो nervousness वगैरह होती है ना, वो आपके पहले साल में when you're a junior pilot, ये सब चीजें तब तक sort out हो जाती हैं. yeah, so yeah, अगर आप nervous होते रहो till the end, तो फिर you will not be able to deliver, you see.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, so ये बात है. So one was not really nervous for
Okay.
two reasons. एक तो ये, दूसरी बात ये थी कि हमारे कंट्रोल में कुछ नहीं था. The computers were controlling the flight, so nervous होना फजूल था. It was a waste of time.
Very right, sir. Very right. Very right. I fully subscribe to that thought कि जब अपने हाथ में तो you surrender yourself.
बस that's all.
Yeah. So, sir, like when you sit in this rocket of Salute 7, and sorry, this Soyuz T-11, and finally it goes to the Salute 7, which is the orbital station. So here, as a, I am also a science student and I have read little bit about this. So, कितना time इस rocket को वहाँ orbital station तक पहुँचने में लगा? That is one of the things which you may like to tell. And फिर docking में कितना time लगता है? और सबसे पहले सर इसके अंदर रॉकेट के अंदर जिससे आप गए थे उसके अंदर होता क्या है?
There are two things. एक तो पहले आपको एस्टैब्लिश करना पड़ता है कि आप सही हाइट पे पहुंच गए हो कि नहीं. In the sense that have you reached space? If you have not reached space, then gravity will pull you back.
Yes.
So you have to establish an orbit first. To save energy, you establish a lower orbit. And that particular laboratory is at a higher orbit.
Yes.
Now, if you go from lower orbit to higher orbit straight away, then you will have to spend more energy.
Correct.
और thrust का इस्तेमाल करना पड़ेगा.
Correct.
तो आप lower orbit में ही रहोगे. But being lower orbit, the radius being lesser of your circle, you will complete one circle faster than the orbital laboratory.
Absolutely.
Right? So what happens is that the orbital laboratory is way ahead when you launch.
Okay.
And by being in the lower orbit, you are gradually catching up with the laboratory.
Okay.
अगर आप उसके पीछे जाएं तो the laboratory is going at 7 kilometers per second, you know?
Yes, absolutely.
And so to chase it at that level, you'll need very much of more energy. So once you're in line with them, then you only have to traverse through the height difference. So उसी time वो जब भी phase angle कम हो जाता है, तो then you just go and dock. और docking कैसे होती है वो भी computer controlled होती है. It is just sending the radar signals which bounce back, and it is forever assessing the rate of closure, if there is any alignment problem, up, down, left, right. वो सब automatically correct होता रहता है. And then finally you come and dock in the docking assembly. और वो locks जब हो जाते हैं तो laboratory का एक हैच खुलता है अंदर और कैप्सूल का हैच अंदर खुलता है, तो एक टनल सा बन जाता है.
ओके.
तो उस टनल के थ्रू आप तैरते हुए इसलिए तैर रहे हो क्योंकि ग्रेविटी नहीं है, यू आर फ्लोटिंग लाइक सुपरमैन. So you go into the laboratory. और laboratory is basically a steel cylinder और उसके अंदर lot of scientific instruments are there. बस that is your home. For the 8 days I was in space, and so
in fact, sir,
carried out experiments.
First time very clearly I understood that what is docking. Basically means rocket जाके laboratory में जाके join हो जाता है, and that means, and the way you explained कि how the 4-dimensional stabilization करके और कैसे वहाँ जाके जुड़ जाना है, that is what the docking is on.
And अगर ना हो पाया, there was a computer problem या किसी sensor का problem था, and if you can see the laboratory, then you've got controls inside, so manually you can complete the docking. That is why you have to be a flyer. because you will understand how to do it.
So that means, sir, when it is the time to dock, उस टाइम लगभग आपके रॉकेट की और लेबोरेटरी दोनों की स्पीड बराबर ही होगी,
but the capsule speed is slightly more.
Okay.
That is how you come closer. You're catching up slightly.
So since it is a low Earth orbit, sir, LEO, and what was the perigee and apogee, sir, at that point of time?
It's a circular orbit.
Achha, it was a circular orbit.
So 500 kilometers, 500 kilometers.
Okay, 500 kilometers circular orbit above the Earth.
Yeah.
Okay. And where the space starts?
Yeah. Space starts at 100.
Yeah. So you have to have that 7 kilometer per second escape velocity so that you reach in the space.
So that you stay there,
Yes.
Otherwise, if it's lower, then the gravity starts pulling you back faster.
Absolutely.
So वैसे भी it's never zero gravity, it's microgravity.
Certainly.
So with time, you have to keep boosting up to establish that orbit, to maintain that orbit.
So rocket mein you have a control, sir, to sometime to increase the velocity or energy of the or power of the rocket.
Yeah, it's all computer commanded.
Okay.
But you can manually also do it. There are manual backups are there.
I read, sir, that when you went and when you docked or when you went inside the lab at that point of time, I believe you were welcomed with the flowers, plastic flowers.
Yeah, plastic.
And there was a table also. There was a tablecloth also. Just if you recall those moments, sir.
Well, you see, in the laboratory, 3 और Soviet cosmonauts थे.
Sir.
At that time, they were there. वो establish कर रहे थे नया world record endurance का.
Sir.
और and वो काफी महीने they had spent in the salute. So they were very happy to see the guests who've come. तो हमारे स्वागत के लिए उन्होंने ये कुछ किया.
ये सब मतलब वो जो प्लास्टिक के मेरे क्यूरियोसिटी थी, वो फ्लावर्स ऐसे ही लेके गए थे कि कोई आएगा तो हम वेलकम करेंगे, और इट वाज व्हाट वाज द आइडिया ऑफ टेकिंग दिस?
I really don't know. I just saw it there.
Okay. No, that was very fascinating, sir. They welcomed those 2 upcoming cosmonauts with those flowers and. But so then such a grand event took place when you spoke to late Srimati Indira Gandhi, the Iron Lady of India, and when she asked you that question, very relevant question, आज भी वो कानों में घुसता है कि हिंदुस्तान कैसा लगता है, that time squadron leader राकेश शर्मा. तो आपने सर एकदम बोल दिया था कि सारे जहां से अच्छा. Was it a thought out response, or it just came naturally?
Well, it just came because when we were students, हम यही गाना गाया करते थे after the national anthem. This was the you can call it national anthem number 2. So it was just and India looks very pretty from space. So
yes.
So it was ऊपर top of recall था.
Yes. You mentioned that very clearly, and one more thing, sir, that when she asked that, you also mentioned about that why it looks beautiful. It means somewhere you are seeing desert or somewhere. So can you just describe this thing to the viewers, sir? How it looks beautiful?
Well, it looks beautiful because all our orbits were from inclined at 57 degrees to the equator. So the southwest se leke northeast was the direction of the orbit. And we've got such a long coastline. You can see colored water, different blue, and then land. Then you see the Deccan Plateau, which is brownish. Then you see the Gangetic Plain, which is green. Then you see the deserts, which look golden from that height. और आगे जाओ तो then you see the rivers, and you see Himalayas, you see the forests, tropical forest of Assam. So you've got so many different textures, different colors. Our country's got everything. It's got deserts, it's got mountains, it's got rivers, it's got coastlines. क्या नहीं है हमारे पास?
Very true, sir. And I think no other country got that much of variety of terrain, or you can say the experience. Fantastic, sir. One more thing, sir, I would like to ask here that Srimati Gandhi, when she was talking to you, वो आपका वीडियो देख पा रही थी, लेकिन आप लोग शायद खाली ऑडियो पे थे. You didn't have an option to see the video. What was that reason, sir?
The reason is that अगर हम भी वीडियो देखते
तो bandwidth का
power consumption ज्यादा होता.
Okay.
That's all.
So that was the technical reason.
Yeah.
Otherwise you had a screen and all.
Yeah, we had a screen. Otherwise.
Okay. That was my, in fact, technically, when I as a communicator, so I thought I will clarify this point.
Yeah.
Sir, one more thing which I wanted to know that आपने स्पेस में रह के सर एक बहुत बड़ा काम किया था कि जब आप ऑर्बिट में चल रहे थे तो आपने शायद एक फायर कहीं देखी थी और उसको आपने एडवांस में इंटीमेट कर दिया था वर्ल्ड के लिए कि देयर इज अ फायर. व्हाट वाज दैट फिनोमेना?
हाँ, सो जैसे मैंने कहा कि साउथ वेस्ट से नॉर्थ ईस्ट जा रहे थे, सो दाहिनी विंडो के थ्रू बर्मा, एट दैट टाइम इट वाज कॉल्ड बर्मा, म्यांमार से पहले, तो उनके फॉरेस्ट में से धुआं निकल रहा था, which was quite solid amount of smoke. So it was obvious that it was a forest fire. तो मैंने रिपोर्ट किया था, तो अपने रशियन कंट्रोल सेंटर को उन्होंने कन्वे कर दिया था, बिकॉज हमारे इंडियंस भी थे, इसरो वाले भी थे मॉस्को में. So they sent the message to Delhi, and Delhi sent it to Rangoon.
What a human thing, sir, one can do. And how it feels, sir, वहाँ बैठ के उसमें जब आप घूम रहे होते, मतलब do you feel that speed and all, sir? मतलब the way it is falling?
No, you don't quite feel the speed. It is like I would say, when you're flying in an aircraft, say in a civil aircraft, 30,000-40,000 पे आप जा रहे हो, at that height, the relative movement is not all that discernible. Yeah. So similarly, although we are at 7 kilometers per second velocity, but we are at 500 kilometers. So uske niche jo hai na, the rate at which the terrain is moving is quite as if it was, as if you're seeing it from 40,000 feet, you're seeing the ground. सिर्फ डिटेल, उतना डिटेल में नहीं दिखता, मगर आप उसी सिविल जहाज को आप ट्री टॉप पे लेकर आके उसी स्पीड पे चलाएं, then you would see the trees going past fast. So it's like that. It's related to
basically the relatively you feel as if you are going normally.
Yeah, so it's the relative velocity which is discernible.
Yeah.
So otherwise it takes just 90 minutes to go around the earth.
what a experience. And sir, उसके अंदर जो आपका movement है, because there is a zero gravity and you are floating and all, viewers को थोड़ा सा आइडिया देना सर कि कैसे मैनेज करते हैं, मतलब डेली रूटीन अपना.
हाँ, तो वो जैसे धरती पे बच्चा चलना सीखता है, वहाँ भी हाउ टू मूव फ्रॉम वन एंड टू द अदर थोड़ी बहुत ट्रेनिंग चाहिए, सेल्फ लर्निंग हो जाती है, क्योंकि यू आर वेटलेस, और अगर आपने यहाँ से वहाँ जाना है तो यहाँ के जो मेटल है सिलेंडर का, उसको थोड़ा सा आप पुश करिए, एंड दैट पुश इज इनफ टू मेक यू गो फ्लाइंग, मगर आप इट हैज टू बी अ कैलिब्रेटेड पुश. अगर ज्यादा जोर से करें तो आपकी वेलोसिटी ज्यादा होगी, और उस तरफ you don't have a soft landing. You've got another piece of metal, because it's a metallic cylinder. You can hurt yourself. So this comes with practice. बड़ी जल्दी आ जाता.
Okay.
Because if you're not careful, training, because in the training you cannot replicate zero gravity. You can't. Not more than 20 seconds. वो भी जहाज में. That's all. We are only introduced to that, but you can't learn how to move accurately from one place to another.
Sir, ये जो since you are a space man, sir, एक चीज और बताना सर कि जो अभी सुनते हैं ना कि एयरक्राफ्ट के बाहर जाके उसने वो रिपेयर कर दिया, तो when the spaceman goes out of the aircraft and he does some repairing, so he remains at the same speed, sir, the way the aircraft is moving.
Absolutely, absolutely. He remains at the same speed.
Okay.
Yeah, because
So he also become an object of in the orbit.
See, it isn't as if he's getting off a moving train onto the platform. Platform to ruka hua hai na?
Correct.
So he is at the same velocity as the spacecraft. So he's just come out, but he's moving at the same speed as the spacecraft.
So it remains with the spacecraft.
That's all.
सर आपने उसमें रह के बड़े सारे एक्सपेरिमेंट किए, बायोमेडिसिन का किया और आपने रिमोट सेंसिंग का किया, लाइफ साइंसेस की किए, एंड दे वर ऑल फॉर द ह्यूमैनिटी सर, इंक्लूडिंग वन व्हिच यू डिड योगा इन जीरो ग्रेविटी। उसके बारे में सर थोड़ा कुछ कहें।
वो योगा इसलिए किया था कि स्पेस फ्लाइट 60s में शुरू हुआ था, मैं 80s में गया, तो 25 साल हो चुके थे स्पेस फ्लाइट के, एंड इन दिस 25 years कई बार quite a few astronauts and cosmonauts used to feel space sickness. तो ये उनको देखना पड़ा कि ऐसी कोई तरकीब है कि स्पेस सिकनेस को अवॉइड किया जा सके, तो ऐसी बात थी। तो ये एक्सपेरिमेंट ये था कि देखते हैं कि अगर योगा करें तो क्या उससे ज्यादा फायदा है, या जो तरकीबें तब तक इस्तेमाल हो रही थी ट्रेनिंग के लिए, दैट इज ओनली इनफ। सो यू नो, तो कंपैरेटिव स्टडी हो रही थी।
सो दैट योगा रियली हेल्प्स सर?
Difficult to say because I didn't have any problem of space sickness, but even the Russians didn't have. Okay. So you can't say whether mine was better, yoga is better.
Okay.
For that you'll have to collect more data.
More data.
Yeah.
But you practiced during your stay of 8 days, you practice yoga in that sense?
Yeah. So because what happens is in zero gravity, you're not using your muscles. So your muscles get wasted. Once the muscles lose their muscular tone, then things become difficult. So you have to keep exercising. Yeah. So in fact, about 3 months before the flight, I stopped exercising using the Russian system. I did only yoga. So, and I never, since I didn't feel any symptoms of space sickness, having done only yoga in the last 3 months, at least we can say that the yoga system is not worse than what. Whether it is better or not, उसके लिए ज़्यादा sample data चाहिए.
Very right, sir. It's really creditable, sir, to know that about. Sir, एक चीज और, जब आप इसमें लैब में थे, तो मैंने देखा कोई मास्क वगैरह तो थे नहीं लगे हुए, तो क्या उसमें ऑक्सीजन ऑलरेडी होती है सर पूरे उसमें स्टेशन में?
नहीं, ऑक्सीजन भी, not only oxygen, even pressure. It's got the same kind, जैसे एयरलाइनर के अंदर आप 40,000 पे हो, अगर 40,000 पे प्रेशराइजेशन फेल हो जाए, आपको तो 1.5 मिनट में बेहोश हो जाओगे आप.
Correct.
Because there's not enough oxygen in that level. In vacuum, in space, problem कुछ और है, और वो ये क्योंकि the pressure is not there, इसीलिए तो vacuum कहलाया जाता. और as the pressure is lowered and more and more, what happens is that your boiling point of fluids keeps reducing.
Absolutely.
So if you have a pressurization failure in space, then the bodily fluids, the blood and all will start boiling due to your body temperature. That is enough to make your blood boil. तो उसको to prevent that, you have to pressurize the cabin. जैसे एयरलाइन में करते हैं ना. Similarly, you have to pressurize the cabin in space. That is why you can move around in shirt sleeves.
Move around and breathe also, so means that everything is there.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm afraid I'm ending up closing to the time we have to leave. I'm already getting
last thing, sir. You can tell what would you like to tell to the viewers, sir, the youngsters, if somebody is willing to go to space, and how they prepare, and Please.
Mostly what happens is that everybody says, I want to go into space, I want to be an astronaut. Firstly, you have to know astrophysics is not the same as astronomy. Astronomy is not the same as for astronauts. So if you like astrophysics, then please do research. If you like astronomy, then please do research. Only if you want to be into space as a professional, then you have to be, अब वो भी पता नहीं कितनी देर, क्योंकि every autonomous control is coming in such a big way. I don't know when it won't be necessary for pilots to be in the cockpit. So it remains to be seen. But the fact is, whoever goes above 100 kilometers is called an astronaut. So if we go tomorrow to the moon and want to make a settlement over there, then there will be architects, there will be plumbers, there will be a whole lot of people who will need to build those habitats.
Correct.
And various specializations will be needed. And if you're a specialist in that particular vertical and you're fit enough to go and stay in that environment, go above 100, you're an astronaut. So that's what it is. But it's not an easy place to work. It's a great place to visit, but not easy to work.
Naturally.
So if you don't mind, I'd like to
thank you so much, sir. It's been really a great conversation, sir, and you answered all the questions to my viewers with such a grace and such a clarity, sir. Many things I learned, sir. So I must thank you, sir, on behalf of my viewers and me, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.